Good morning, you guys. Hello. I should have done that before I turned the mic on. Let's see. Okay. I had some tea. Am I ready? Yeah, let's get some gum for now. Let's get some games in, okay? And then we can talk. We got some chess to play. You know? We got some chess. We're gonna play it, okay? We're gonna play some chess. Let's go. Let's play one game from this tournament, I guess. Okay, let's go. Let's try the Scandinavian a little bit more. Advance? Maybe Castle Queenside. Okay, we got opposite side castles. Well, you just let me push my pawns. But I let white push theirs. Oh, that may have been a mistake. Need to somehow make a trade here. Yeah, I should have put the bishop. Maybe. Maybe that's too soon. Sorry, this is fine. I think it was unnecessary then. Oh, no. Yeah, it was unnecessary. I think it loses tempo. If white played here, I would win a pawn. Well, now you're preparing to defend it, but... Okay, maybe... No. Oops. Can I survive this? Well, you know, it's just how it goes. Ah. Wow. You know. You know. Having a hard time waking up today. It's okay, we'll get there. I might need another cup of yerba mate. I might need another cup of yerba mate. So I'm quitting weed today. Or at least starting. I think I need to wean myself off, you guys. I was gonna try to go off today, but then, you know, one of my neighbors, she actually, like, for Christmas, she gave me a big giant bag of weed, and I'm like, this is so thoughtful, and I'm like, but I'm quitting tomorrow. You know, so I'm gonna give some to a friend, you know, to be, you know, as Merry Christmas. And it's like a giant bag of weed, too. But my tolerance is too high anyway, so I at least need 3 days off. However, like I've said yesterday and before, my doctors don't seem to be overly concerned as I do. But I am concerned with, you know, I like to do things a certain way. You know, I have a lot of, like, very strong values. And, like, one of those is, like, well, I have, like, a lot of stuff coming up that's gonna, like, you know, need a lot of focus. So that's one. Like, you know, I have a SSI hearing, which, of course, you know, like, it, you know, that, the fact that I'm, like, you know, so stressed out about it, that I'm, like, smoking weed every day now, because I'm so stressed out about a single event that's gonna be a 40-minute phone call. That should probably put things in perspective over why I need the SSI in the first place. So, I mean, if anything, it's probably more proof. But I don't want to be. First of all, I never, like, show up to responsibilities stoned. I used to do that when I was a teenager. I don't do that anymore because I'm an adult. Okay. So that's why it's fine, objective, like from other people's point of view, you know. But, like, I don't know, it's just like it's bothering me. Like, I threw up this morning, you know. I've been, you know, because after a while you need to take a break because it's just like you start throwing up and stuff. And also, it doesn't really do anything anymore. Are we gonna play Bullet or Super Blitz? Let's just keep playing Bullet, okay? It's good to wake up. It's a great way to wake up, and music's super hype, you know? Chess is so inspiring that I do not believe a good player is capable of having an evil thought during the game. Wilhelm Steinitz. Well, chess just makes you want to think objectively. And when you think objectively, it's really hard to be like a bad person. Because like nobody gives a shit about somebody who just leaves people alone. Although they do. They actually do. It's ironic. The more that you like refuse to give in to people's pressure, the more they pressure you. It's so fucked up. Oh, the co-pilot streaming. Ready for battle. Yeah, I'm just like still waking up, just playing some Bullet for fun and just chatting with you guys. Having a really weird morning. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna be spacing out my weed over the next couple days. I was gonna just like quit cold turkey, but that's not gonna happen. I have 1 week. And I want to have the last 3 days before my hearing for SSI completely sober. So it's like over the next 3 days, I'm going to be kind of weaning myself off. Or the next 3 to 4 days. Like, I think the biggest thing is avoiding it in the morning. The longer I can push it off, the better. If I can like wait in the morning. The problem is if I'm going to smoke in the morning, like, I either wait till like way later, like a couple hours at least, but like when I first wake up, that's usually when I take my estrogen in the morning. But so it's like if I time it where it's like I get my, you know, if I'm smoking weed, I smoke weed in the morning and then I have my tea or coffee or whatever. Okay. Oh no, there's a knight. This is not good. Let's just try to compensate. Like it's Star Trek, you know? Sometimes you just need to compensate for the inertial dampeners. Hey, Cindy. Oh no. Well then the queen, oh, the pawn days. Pinning the pawn, super safe queen. Not really, but oops. King. Okay, let's just go on the side anyway. Okay, so the pawn's pinned. I can actually attack the pawn. Oh. I could have taken the bishop, I think. Oh. See, I found that, like, you know, first of all, I do not like to, like, smoke weed or anything. before I take estrogen because it can make me cough and spit and like, you know, like all this like phlegm and stuff. And also like sometimes it can make me throw up if like I cough too hard or whatever. So, I could have taken, no. Okay, let's pin. Not pin, but I went on time. Let's go. But okay. It'll be fine, you know. It'll be totally fine. I'm not even like, so the thing is like this is subjective to me and my experience. So it's like I think I'm nowhere near like a bad place. So it's not about that. This is different than things were in the past with me. It's more like it's just more like just something that like, oh, oops. I hung my queen. Like right now, I just really need to hold on and stay strong. And sometimes that's how I stay strong. It's just kind of like get stoned. You know, it's like it helps me like forget about, not forget, but like it helps like kind of keep me like kind of loopy, which kind of keeps me it kind of keeps me from freaking out too much, because it's like I can't really freak out when I'm stoned, if that makes any sense. I mean, it should. It's not that complicated, Rebecca. Jeez. It's okay to get stoned. It's not going to take away anything you've worked for. Okay? I think that's what it is. I think that's why I'm so hard on myself. Now, my self-regulation is a different story, and I'm totally cool with that. Totally cool with, you know, not being harsh on myself. Understanding that there are withdrawal symptoms, and it's actually harder to... the withdrawal symptoms are actually worse in women because of the way estrogen works. So that's kind of gender confirming, but at the same time, it's like, it does mean that it's harder to quit. And the thing is, I mentioned it to a female friend of mine, and she was like, now that you mention it, like every like female I know who like, every woman I know who like smokes weed has like a hard time quitting. And it's like, but it's not a big deal. I mean, it's just weed, but at the same time, it's not just weed. Like there's a spiritual reason why I would like to quit. Because I have a very important thing coming. Oops. I have important things coming up, but in the end of the day, it's not going to be a huge deal. It's not going to like take away anything I've worked for. I think that's why I'm so afraid. It's because I feel like my whole life, because I couldn't live up to people's expectations, and because I don't live in the way because I'm not able to function the way they want me to. Like sometimes I just have to smoke weed, and it's just like they don't accept that. Well, they didn't when I was, you know, in my 20s. Now, like, more and more people are, like, you know, understanding it's like, chill the fuck out. Like, some people smoke weed, and it's not a big deal. But it's a big deal if it's bothering me, so that's something else. I'm basically playing like I'm playing the Black Pieces, almost. Oops. No good. Maybe not too bad, but tough to make happen. Oops. Ah! I just needed a pre-move. Something weird here. Okay. Oops! That's very weird. Oh no. Oops. Okay. Thank you. I could have taken the queen. Oh no! No! It can't be! I was this close! This close! I was this close! Okay, let's go. What? Oops. 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 Oh, there we go. That's why you don't berserk in a bullet game, okay? Oops. I don't know why I did that. Oops, I could have taken. And then a lot of it is like, you know, sometimes it's just like, okay, like, why am I even smoking weed anymore? You know, that's kind of it. Like, it's like, what am I, like, why am I doing this? Why am I, like, continuing, even though I'm, like, super tolerant of it now? So it's like, but even then, like, why was I trying to get stoned? Like, why do I want to be stoned? And it's like, not necessarily that I want to nowadays. Because it's like, I don't really, you know, I don't really care either way. But I mean, it does help me. I don't know, it just helps me feel like things, like, you know, I can get through it. But, you know, we're getting to crunch time, and I'm a little bit worried, but not too worried. I need to stop freaking out and catastrophizing, because I feel like it doesn't have to be, like, the end of the world. Like, just because I haven't, like, completely quit cold turkey. Like, jeez. I don't have to be perfect all the time. I don't know why I feel like I always have to be perfect, you know? Also, lately, I feel like I've just, like, I've talked everything out already. Like, I actually feel, like, kind of exhausted from doing so much therapy, and obviously therapy every week, but, like, at the same time, like, as far as, like, my stream and like, my friends and stuff goes, I just, first of all, since I started streaming 2 years ago, I found myself becoming a lot quieter around my friends, which I'm sure they appreciate. But I also, like, noticed that since therapy, even in my stream, I noticed myself talking less about my stuff. Although, like I said, like, you know, when I get, like, super upset that I can barely even, like, function. And that's kind of, like, why things are a little bit soft. Like, things are a little bit easier nowadays, and I hate to admit it, but it's because of the weed. I don't like relying on some kind of, like, other thing. Like, it's not just about, like, whether or not it's a chemical or whatever, like, whether or not it's, like, you know, marijuana or whatever. It's not about that. It's like, I don't like relying on something that I don't create myself. Because it means that it can always fail. And if it fails, then I'm not ready. So it's like, if I'm not able to, like, enjoy the day, or not, it's not about enjoying the day anymore. Like I said, it's about getting through the day now. If I can't get through the day, oh god, I don't know. It's just like I'm fine right now. I don't feel like addicted. I don't feel like I want it. It's just like sometimes it's just like, well, there are the withdrawals, so it's like I smoke the minimum amount to, like, kind of wean myself off of it. But, like, it doesn't really do much anymore. It just makes me, well, it does clear my sinuses. Like, it's clearing out all the phlegm. That's actually kind of good now. Like, I can actually breathe through my nose now. I don't know. It's Christmas time. I need to learn how to, like, enjoy my breaks. Like, I don't know, like, I've been working so hard. And, you know, even today, I'm stressed out about even meeting my boyfriend. And that's gonna be a good thing. Like, really good. But, you know, it's like, it's not just that, like, I feel so like stressed out because like I'm also going to be talking to my lawyer today for like 40 minutes, and we're talking about the SSI. And the past couple of weeks, like, you know, especially like, you know, the past couple of days, I have been talking to like my case manager and my doctor, and, you know, emailing my lawyer, like all this stuff for SSI. It's like the one that causes the most PTSD because it's directly related to my autism, which has caused me extreme strife my whole entire life. Even before I knew I was trans, I didn't know I was autistic. I didn't get any help. I just was expected to just, you know, fit in and just do what everyone else was doing. Do all the work. You know, show up and behave. Like, everybody wanted me to do that, and nobody had diagnosed me or anything. Like, nobody took the time to do that. And it's just like, I don't blame them. It's still burgeoning. Like, our understanding of like neurodivergence in general is still very hazy, and our understanding of autism is still like very unclear. You know, there's a lot of things that we do understand, though, just like with transgender people, which there is a large correlation. Because I mean, I think the reason why there's at least some kind of thread attached to similarities between, you know, being on the spectrum and having gender identity. Gender identity, I wouldn't say issues. Gender expansive. Being gender expansive. Because it's not necessarily being like trans feminine or trans masculine, or being male or female, or being like, you know, or being a man or a woman. It's not. It's so different for some people. Some people don't even think about gender at all, and so, you know, but they're trans because like they don't see themselves as either gender. Like, that's their thing. Like, but then some people feel strongly about that. Some people are just like, hey, I just exist, and that might be a lot of autistic people. Like, people who just don't really think about their gender as like their identity. Like, they just think of like their brain as their identity. And it's like, it's fine. Like, I'm not like mentally challenged. I'm like challenged because I'm configured in a different way. But once I find the right software, you know, the right hardware, which I'm working on right now, I got a team of programmers, you know, helping me and learning what I can do to minimize my weaknesses and improve them. Just like in chess, hanging pieces, obviously in a bullet game, but compared to my opponents, you know, my opponent also has the same time control, so it's like I can't use that as an excuse because my opponent also has only 1 minute. That's how chess works. Get it? Some people are like really snobbish about things. They're like, oh, bullet isn't real chess. And I'm like, even my coach, I was like, I don't agree with that. I haven't talked to my coach for a while. Yeah, they were really like helping me a lot, but it was just like, it's just the same. Like, this is why I can't have a job, and this is actually why I have a lot of problems. It's not just about work. Like, it's not just about work. It's also about like, okay. Okay. You know what? I could have put the bishop there instead. Oh, but then I would have lost the pawn. Okay, what is a knight? There's a bishop. Wait, some Metroid Prime? Oh no. Yeah, I think what it is just that, like, you know, I would like the weed to still help, but like there's like a natural time limit like on itself. Like this is kind of how it naturally goes. I've learned how to listen to it. So when I first start smoking weed, it's because like I'm just having like so many problems and so stressed out that like I just like find myself just like unable to even like function. And so I'll just smoke weed to take the edge off. And then like it gradually like becomes more frequent until it doesn't really do anything anymore. And then like I'm kind of forced to I'm forced to take a tolerance break, and that's at least 3 days. I would like it to be more. Because sometimes I'm like bothered by like, is this the person I am? Just this like person who smokes weed? Like, that's not who I am. And obviously it's not. But it's just like, why am I perpetuating this? Like, I have so many good things happening to me soon. Although, I don't know, like, it's helping me get to that point. So it's like, it's a really complicated relationship, okay? I've had a very complicated relationship with marijuana my whole life, and it's fine. Everything's fine. This is all a personal thing. So it's like, I'm not forced to do anything. It's not about that. Like, it's not about that at all. So now it's different. Like when I was younger, I was like, it was about like people telling me I couldn't. And then I was like, well, I wanted to. And now, like, I'm doing it because I feel like I have to. And that's a problem, but it's what I have to do to get through each day without having some huge problem. Although now it's causing health problems. So instead of having mental anguish, I'm having like physical anguish. Not anguish, but like it's, you know, it's not terrible. Filthy peasant, someone says in the chat. Wow. Really, Chess? Oh. Okay. Oh. Oops. Uh-oh. Yeah, and so, yeah, that's why, you know, it's just kind of, like, you know, the irony of it, like, when the day, like, I'm going to quit, like, my neighbor who's super friendly and nice to me, like, you know, she's been super nice and like but like I try to avoid my distance. She's been super friendly and like saying, oh, you know, you can talk to, you know, let's talk sometime, like, hey, you know, we should talk more, and like, but like I feel like I'm invading people's space and I don't want to knock on someone's door. You know, I also, like, you know, I don't like being, you know, I don't know, I usually, like, with people, it's like I should just relax. You know, there's no deadline. I think that's the biggest problem. I'm overthinking it with friends. And it's just like sometimes I just don't really like want to risk, like, I don't want to overstep. Like, it's easy for me to like forget that, like, you know, it's okay just to like chat with people. You don't have to commit to being like best friends for the rest of your life. And it's like it's just like I have this like all or nothing mentality, and it's why it's so hard for me to quit weed in the first place, is because like once I start something, I'm like doing that thing. Like, it's not like a question of like it feels like I have, like, it's like chess, like, and I've, you know, obviously chess has changed for me over time. The way I've treated chess, it's always been there, but like the way I've thought about chess and the way I've like trained chess, the way I've like, you know, had like discipline about it. My discipline has waxed and waned, you know, over the course of time. And oops, whoops. Okay. Yeah. No. No. And it's like I still can't save my rook. I got checkmated by a pawn. Yeah, no. Well, congratulations, keep pushing. Yeah. Everything's gonna be, I think I need another cup of tea. Let me heat up some water and get some tea. Yeah. Play a game while it's microwaving. Okay, yeah, let's just chill. Just like spam bullet.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oops. Botez Gambit. Ah! Rebecca Gambit. Where not only do you give the queen, you also give away pieces. That's the difference. Oh. I'm having way too much fun this early in the morning, okay? Yeah, this eternal struggle that I have to live with, you know? This eternal struggle of like constantly thinking that everything I do has to only be the thing that I'm doing. It's like I get so stuck in just my environment. And that's why it's like I have to be so cognizant of my identity, because it's like without my identity, my environment defines who I am. And I can't let that happen, because like my environment right now is just me just trying to get through this pandemic and trying to get through this, you know, phase of my life where I'm trying to get my finances taken care of. And, you know, very important things happening, very important surgeries happening, maintaining hormonal balance, you know, just taking my hormones and, you know, I'm not doing anything too crazy. You know, I'm smoking weed, but that's not too bad. I'm not drinking, which would be kind of bad. And I'm definitely not smoking cigarettes, which would be very, very, very bad. So I'm not doing the one thing that I definitely can't do. So I'm good there, okay? My doctors all know about, you know, my weed habits. They say it's fine, but you know, if it's bothering you, then, you know, they just remind me, like I asked them to, because I asked them, say, like, hey, like, it's just like they're like really good friends, but they're professionally qualified to give medical advice. That's the but they're not friends. So like they're more in the medical advice side, but they like treat you like, I feel like people think of doctors like, and a lot of doctors might be like this, kind of more old school, like, oh, just, eat an apple a day. But, it's like, you don't want to keep the doctor away. You want to, like, work with your doctor so you learn about your body and you understand where your limits are and you understand, like, what you need to work on. And that can go every week. There might be, obviously doctors will not be as frequent, but, like, with therapy, it's like going to the doctor, but instead of for a broken leg, it's like for a broken life. And it's not necessarily that you're broken. I think that's the wrong way of putting it. It's more like there's something that's not lining up for you, and they're there to help guide you. They're not going to tell you what to do. If they're a good therapist, they're not going to tell you what to do. They're not going to like force you to do anything. They're going to talk to you. They're not going to force you to talk about any topic. They're not going to force you to go under any like treatment. And like, this is the biggest thing. I've talked about this the past couple days, and it's important. A lot of people think that like that's what happens with trans children, and trans people in general. They think that the doctor is the one telling them to be transgender, and that's not what's happening. And that's a misconception that people have. And these misconceptions about being transgender or being black or being being homeless, or what was the word I was going to say? It's these misconceptions about COVID. That's what I was going to say. Like misconceptions about COVID. Like people have misconceptions that are having very real effects around them. And so it's the same problem. The problem that we're having from the pandemic, the virus could have been curbed at least a bit better off if people actually united and were patriotic and social distanced and wore their masks and took the vaccine. But instead, people's ignorance is causing pain to the masses. And it's frustrating because there's an ethical choice. Like, do you force people to take the vaccine? And I think at this point, in order to save someone, you have to. Because you have to save everyone. You can't save everyone, but like you have to like make sure everyone takes the vaccine. I know it sounds like it's a slippery slope, but there's a context. There's a time and place for everything. Now is not the time to have your personal freedom. Now is the time to take that vaccine, to do what has to happen so that we can get rid of this virus and actually get back to life. Instead of pretending like we can get back to life and then making it worse because it's like propagating the virus, and variants are mutating into variants because of people's unwillingness to social distance, people's unwillingness to take vaccines. And so like it's like if a child is running out into the street when there's cars, you don't just let the child play. They're gonna die. And these people are acting like children. It's sad that we live in a country and in a world for the most part, but like definitely in the country in the United States where people are literally children, adults, people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Maybe not 90s or 80s, but like, older people who should know better are trying to tout this like, oh, but my freedom. You don't get a freedom to harm the entire population of the country, of the planet. And it's their same ignorance of their so-called freedom that they're using, for with trans people and for black people and for anyone that's marginalized. It's that same ignorance because they refuse to actually listen to facts. And we know the facts, like, people who are, doctors and therapists and scientists and people who are actually going through the experience of being trans or whatever it might be. Like, Like, it's fine. Like, the situation is perfectly fine, and people's lives are exploding into happiness and fruit and like becoming like amazing individuals who just glow up. And I've been told that by every single person, like in my team, and people who randomly show up to my stream, and like friends, is that like, you are a beautiful, shining human being, Rebecca, and you would not be able to do that. Yeah, like, you would not be able to do that. Whoops. Yeah, everybody needs to take their fucking vaccine. I don't give a fuck about the Omicron variant. It is effective. It's more effective than not taking the fucking variant, you piece of shit fucking dick. Okay, like, you know, what are you gonna be? Oh, I'm only 60%, you know, protected from poop falling on me. Okay, you want to be you want 100% of it to fall on you instead of 40%? You want to be covered in 100% shit instead of only 40% shit? If you had a choice between 100% or 40%, that's basically what people are taking when they refuse to take the vaccine. They're like, oh, well, it's only 60% effective. It doesn't need to be 100% for, you know. And they've been talking about this nonstop, and everybody's sick and tired of talking about it. Everybody's sick and tired of holding these people's fucking hands while they refuse to accept basic science. Like, it should have been over already. We should have been through this pandemic already. But because of our own stupidity, we're gonna fucking die. Good job being a fucking idiot. Not knowing how to fucking be a human being. Just thinking that your opinion is all that matters. That reality doesn't matter. That all that matters is your opinion. And your opinion is based on false information anyway. So how do you trust your opinion when it's wrong? It's not as effective as it has been against previous variants, and that's because it's a fucking variant. It's obvious. Yeah, anyway. At this point, I just feel like a cold-hearted person because, like, all those people who fucking refuse to take the vaccine, they're all gonna fucking die. And I'm not even fucking upset about it. Like, I am, but, like, I'm not. It's like, fuck. Like, I'm tired of people just, like, ruining other people's lives because of their ignorance. Because it's not just about the COVID. Like, it's also about racism and transphobia and homophobia and other shit where people think that, like, oh, these evil liberals, they just want to, like, you know, give people, like, workplace protections. They don't understand that that's what we're fighting for, the people who are more liberal and more on the left. For, like, you know, protections. So people don't fucking go homeless just because they, like, get laid off. Because that's been going on forever, and people just act like it's a normal way of life, and it shouldn't be. It doesn't have to be. We have the ability to change it, and we refuse to, just like with the COVID vaccine. People have the ability to take the fucking vaccine, and they're refusing to because they think their right to not take the vaccine is more important than anything else. They think their right to, like, like misgender and just be transphobic in general supersedes my right to being like a human being. And like just go through my life without being harassed or feel like I'm dehumanized. Like I belong in society. I already know that. But like it sucks when like people constantly like refuse to even understand like a few fractions of the science that we understand about being transgender or about COVID or about racism. And it's like people just like want to go with what their feelings are. And then they keep saying things like facts don't care about your feelings. And they're the ones like who are only acting on feelings. Like we're acting on like scientific data and like, conclusions, and also like still being tentative. Like we're always tentative. It's a huge deal to go through gender transition. It's not something that people take lightly. It's not something that people just say, oh, everybody on TikTok is doing. Nobody is doing that. That's in your own fucking mind. All the Ben Shapiros of the world, it's in your own fucking mind. You're an absolute crazy person. You need help. And it's not that you need to be locked away. No, you need help, which means you need to understand that, like, it's like there's things that like you can do that like will stop harming people, and it won't affect you like in any way whatsoever, except for instead of being mean, you be a decent person. like it's not about getting my feelings hurt. It's that it's a very specific targeted problem that results in very, very, very negative effects. And yeah, some of us survive it. I'm a survivor. I'm not, I want to live more than ever. Because I'm finally starting to live. And I wouldn't feel that way if I was denied access to healthcare. But the thing is like, in California, it's okay. It's great. I'm in California. It's fine. But the fact of the matter is, the fact that my ability to feel safe is dependent on which state I'm in is something wrong with the country. Is this bullet chess? Yeah, I'm playing very badly. Thank you, nada a declarar, for pointing that out. Could have like checkmated me. That was a checkmate. It's in Portuguese. No, it's fine. I'll just call you Nada or Nadia if you I don't know. I won't call you Nadia if you don't want me to. I'll just call you Nada. There's also someone in my chat named Extra Naughty, so it's like Notty. It's like it's cute. Yeah. What's interesting is this weed like tastes a little weird. I'm not gonna complain though. I got it from for Christmas from a neighbor, so but like at the same time, it tastes like, if I want to say, like I'm trying to like pinpoint what this strain tastes like. I mean, it's like. It tastes like fabric softener, but it's like, I think it's just maybe it was like homegrown. Or maybe it was in the bag a little too long, because she put it in a plastic bag, which I don't know if she knows that. It's not good to store it in. I think it I don't know. It is fine. It gets the job done. And like I said, most of it is just my potency. My tolerance is completely like at the top. So it's like, I don't know. Today I'm trying my hardest, because my instinct right now is to act, because I'm like feeling like super like, I feel good right now, so I don't really feel like I need to go out and like smoke weed, but I also feel like I'm not stoned, and sometimes I'm like, you know what, like, fuck, like, why even smoke if I didn't smoke enough to get stoned? And it's just like, I am weaning myself off, so part of this is like, even when I feel like it, I'm just gonna say, let's play a few more games of chess. Let's play a few more games of chess before I go smoke. And then, you know, maybe I'll smoke an hour later instead of right now. And it's still fine. I'm working on it. I have the next 3 to 4 days to wean off. And I'm being very careful about it, very deliberate. But it's time for my tea. I forgot about it. Yeah, I'm trying yerba mate again. I've had it for a while. Yeah, I'm never taking... See, the thing is as soon as I said tea, I realized that, like, oh, trans men take tea. And it's like, most people don't think about that. Only people who are in, like, gender expansive circles. So it's like, when you're talking to other people who are in gender expansive circles, we kind of have our own, like, language. But there's also, like, language that, like, you know, the general public is starting... Some of that language is starting to creep out into the general public because people are figuring it out. Because, you know, there is a best way to talk about people who are gender expansive. Most of the time, you don't even need to talk about them. Unless you're talking about something that's like, okay, well, like, you know, how do we... Like, you know, doctors might say, like, how do we best treat a patient who expresses, you know, a need to transition in some way? Well, first we'll like wait till they come to us. We'll talk and say, hey, we're here. We have resources, but you're not under any pressure. We're here when you're ready, and you know, there's a process we need to go through to get you on it. And once you get on it, like it's a continual process. And to get the surgeries, you need to go through this process, and it's like a continual process. It's very deliberate. And I'm gender expansive just means like trans, gender queer, gender non-conforming, gender non-binary. It's just like, it's basically like it's another word for queer, basically. And it's like trans and it's like a word between trans and queer, I think. I don't really like I don't consider myself a part of the queer community. I also don't like that word. It gives me PTSD. So I don't like identifying with the queer community because of that. They're great. They're fine. I love people who are in the queer community, but I don't personally self-ID as that. But like gender expansive is a more like kind of like concise term, and it's more like kind of medical. It's what's being used more in today. We can say gender expansive care because saying that somebody is trans is very rigid, right? Because someone might be like needing hormone, like when we say trans, I guess in medical, it's probably, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but like it probably means like, you know, people mostly think like, and for the most part, when people say they're trans, it means that they're like trans feminine or trans masculine, which means they're either taking a cross hormone. That's usually the case. Sometimes it's not, but that's usually not people who self-identify as trans or as a gender that's not one they're assigned. Like some people they consider themselves gender non-conforming, but they're not trans. But like they're not like, yeah, like they I don't know. It's like just gender expansive because it can change for some people. Your identity changes throughout your life, and for trans people, it's really important to have a sense of solidarity with other people who are who are gender expansive, because we know that like we need to be very careful about how we continue our treatment, because some people in the past, if they're all alone and all they have is their own experience and their own self, because a lot of people unfortunately don't get doctors who can give them hormones and stuff, and so they only transition on their own. And what ends up happening is they're very misinformed. They do things that might be dangerous or bad, like they'll take like extra things that'll try to help them with breast growth, but like that'll cause like health problems. It might not even do anything. It probably won't, because it just doesn't really work that way. Or they'll like or they'll go off their hormones because they don't feel like, they're like, oh, I don't know if I'm trans, and then they'll stop on hormones, and then they're like, oh, I'm trans, and they'll start hormones, and like the starting and the stopping is really bad. As a xenofeminist, I self-ID as a chess player. Let me have my tea. Okay, I'm gonna be right back. Oh wait, transition is dangerous, yeah, but it's not as dangerous as people think. People think it's this thing where it's like you're gonna die. Like, I don't know where people get this idea. It's actually pretty safe. Cross hormones are pretty safe, but you need a doctor. Like, you need a team, you need a group, you need people who are on your side, because, well, first of all, a lot of people in the world are just very confused about transitioning and what it means, and they don't understand the realities, and they really shouldn't, because they're not trans, they're not going through it. Not everybody goes through, like, you know, let's just, I hate using this as an example because it compares being trans to, like, cancer, but, like, if you want to think about it, most people don't go through chemo, but we can, like, understand that if someone's going through chemo, that, like, it's probably not good to make, like, bald jokes, unless, you know, that's the person's decision if they want to do that. It's not yours. Your histamines go up, yeah, exactly. That's fine. It's the alternative is just being miserable for the rest of my life. Like, everything is risky. Like, going outside and getting in your car and starting it and driving out of your parking lot is, like, more dangerous than being transgender. I mean, than taking cross hormones. You ease your way up and you achieve a new balance. Your body is really good at utilizing utilizing things like hormones, like insulin. I take insulin also. Okay. Yeah, but I mean, it's like, who cares? Like, that's a medical thing. It's obviously been treated for, like, since the 30s. Like, people have been transitioning since the 30s. Like, male to female. And probably female to male. I mean, testosterone. But, like, what we've done is we've gotten safer and safer. That's what the goal of medicine is. That's what the goal of science is to get infinitely better. Every single step is better than the last. Every generation of trans people is going to have a better experience than the last. And to the point where eventually it's just going to be normal. Like, some people are trans, most people are not. And then people can just say, hey, like, if they know from a young age, at some point, medicine might allow and understand that maybe it's possible to just start hormone treatment, like, at the normal puberty time. Like, maybe that's safe, but we don't know that yet, so we don't do that. We give them hormone blockers instead. That's a compromise. It gives them time, because they can't take hormones until they're 18. But, you know, everybody else gets to go through puberty. How come they don't get to the one if they know that's the one they need to go through? But until we understand, like, the safety of it, which right now it's kind of like, like, people are worried about youth, and that's why they delay it so long. But a lot of people suffer because of it, because they know they need it. They absolutely know they need it. Like, it's not about, like, some passing fancy. It's like they know, and then they're denied it and they're told to wait, and that is extremely painful. when you know you need something and you don't have access to it. Like, imagine if you had like unlimited amount of water to drink, but someone put a password on it and they told you the password, but you forgot the password and it's like impossible to guess. Spoken like a true accelerationist. Fuck does that even mean? Yeah, I mean, like we can drive when we're 16. Like, how come people can't like choose their own bodily autonomy at 16? And actually, like, why 16? Why not 14? like freaking like, it's, I don't know. It's just really weird because like people have this idea that we have to like protect youth. But like, it's them, like it's the adults who have to be protected, because the kids are doing just fucking fine. They're like, yeah, whatever, okay, boomer, and the adults are like, oh, we need to do all this. We need to. It's like, it sounds like a you problem. It sounds like you're worried about how you would deal with the transition. But like the kids going, like, you know, doing great, just living their life. Going through puberty just like everyone else, but instead they have to go through hormone blockers. But that's better than going through the wrong puberty, I would guess. Well, I would know because I had to go through the wrong puberty. But I understand, like, you know, when people first hit puberty, if they know they're trans, like, for like years at a time, I don't know, like, why not just let someone just, you know, hey, like, we've known since you were 4 years old and we've gone through many different medical procedures, like medical discussions, and like you've gone through therapy, and like, hey, like, now you're approaching when everybody else is going through puberty. I think in your case, like, you know, it's a case by case basis. Like, if somebody's been like desperately knowing like that they're a gender from like when they're 4, and it's like, it's not just a fancy, like, it's not just like something that lasts like a few days, like it lasts for years, then maybe that would be most beneficial for that patient to just give them the hormones they need. But we don't do that yet because we're being careful. But I feel like people should be allowed to take it if they know they need it. But there's a middle point, there's a compromise, which is take the puberty blockers so that you have more time. But the thing is during that time, like, you might be like being like attacked for being different, which everyone does. So everybody has to grow up, regardless of what you do to try to change it. Kids are gonna fucking grow up because life just throws shit at them all the fucking time, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. And I feel like parents need to get the fuck over it. Your kids are not going to be like, they're gonna learn from everyone around them, including you. And if you're gonna try to force them to be someone they're not, yeah, joining the military at 17, that sounds crazy. I don't know, it's a really delicate thing. Like, why is 18 the age of majority? Like, why is that the age of consent? Why 18? Why not 21? Why not 16? People drive at 16, and yet we don't allow people to decide which puberty they get to go through. We have to make them wait yet another 2 years. Like, maybe they started blockers when they were like 13 or 14. They have to wait till they're 16. Okay, they're 16, and then it's like, I think that's what it's changing for gender expansive care. I think it's getting there. I think they're changing it from 18 to 16 in some places. Because it's like, by 16 you should fucking know already. Like, if you've been on blockers, you're specifically seeking out this treatment. It's not like you just go to the corner store and pick up hormones. It's not how it works. It's a very specific path, and it's just making it easier for people without the slippery slope of, like, you know, well, now if we allow everybody to just like decide at a certain age, then it's like, well, they might not be ready to do it. It would be more likely, like, so there's got to be a cutoff, like, where it's just like, well, when is like the earliest point that they could And, obviously that's what they're figuring out. They're not just sitting around there twiddling their thumbs, virtue signaling on Twitter like you think that they're doing. I don't know why you think that. There's actual scientists and people researching this and trying to do what's best for the patient. And a lot of the times it seems like puberty blockers are really fucking effective because it pauses a puberty that would be permanent. Just like forcing someone to go through a transgender puberty would be permanent. Forcing someone to go through a cisgender puberty, or no, I guess through a natal puberty, would be just as abusive. Because you didn't decide that, your body did, and we can change our body. We have the safe ability to do so. And so it's like, people are definitely careful about the children because the patient is the number one. And if you do something that's bad for the patient, then it's your fault. Because you're the doctor, you're the adult. It's your job to know, okay, well, this patient is very clearly, ready to start this puberty. And then, at 16. Some people might not be ready at 16. And so they're like, let's just delay this another 2 years or something, or another year. Yeah, let's play, Lorik. Let's play. Send me a challenge on leechess.org. What's kind of interesting is you could download all the games in a tournament as a PGN. It's kind of interesting. Or all your games too from a tournament. Nice, easy. All right, let's play some 3-minute. A little bit slower than Blitz. I mean Bullet. I was playing Bullet just because it's what I do in the morning to wake up and stuff. Sometimes. Yeah, it's just there's a lot of stuff, you got to be really careful though. Because some people will, there's a conversation. Hey, Extra Naughty. There's a conversation that people have about, well, how come we just assume that if somebody's, we're talking about, there's this, extreme phobia of people talking about, what the age of consent should be. And people are like, oh, well, you're fucking sick if you have sex with a 17-year-old. If you're 18. It's okay, well, that doesn't sound very, nefarious. If an 18-year-old has sex with a 17-year-old. Now, if, a 30-year-old who has, a car and is, pressuring somebody who's young, that is a problem, but for a different reason. And people think that there's just inherently something wrong with with being with somebody just because they're not 18. But I'm not going to be with somebody who's even younger than 25. Most likely. I would not want to be with somebody younger than 18. His thing is oh, well, who gets to decide that? Kids used to have sex when they were 13, and that's when they became adults, back in, a couple hundred years ago, and even still places today, and people look the other way and act like it's not real. And so instead, they just have this extreme phobia that, they accuse people of being child molesters just because they say something that's hey, not even something sexual. They might even be projecting. I might say something oh, hey, she's wearing a pretty dress, and someone says, what the fuck does that mean? She's 16. It's okay, dude, are you projecting much? Kind of a, oh, now we're playing Bullet, I guess. I mean, I don't know, especially in today's age, kids seem smarter today than kids in the past. And I feel they're able to understand how to just teach. They learn from a young age now because of the internet, because their parents won't teach them sometimes, but also parents are learning to teach their kids about, what like, something that shouldn't be happening is. Like, tell your kids, like, hey, like, there's people out there that'll try to touch you in certain spots. Like, that's not okay. Those are bad people. And like, but people are like, oh, we don't even want to talk about that because we want to protect them. And you're not protecting them. Like, they're going to get abducted. Like, because they're going to trust some adult because they think that, oh, we live in this, obviously this is the same thing as like, the like, just pick yourself up by your bootstraps thing. Like, obviously it's like you want to have let kids have like a childhood. That's what everyone wants. I mean, it only lasts for so long before it's over. It's so short. You only get to be a child for so long, and life's gonna force it out of you. And then, but like at the same time, like, we know that, like, I don't know, it's just, there's a lot of people out there that like are afraid to even talk about things because like they're afraid, it's not going to happen because the only thing that's going to end, like, the only thing that's important is your actions. So obviously if you're like, obviously there's certain things that are very illegal and also just very like wrong, like, CP or whatever, but like, just like somebody like mentioning like something like, hey, like why, like even asking, like right now I feel weird right now because this is a taboo topic, because as soon as you mention it, people are immediately going to accuse you of being a freaking child molester. It's like, are you fucking serious? Like, I wouldn't fucking hurt a fly. Consent is so important to me, and a child cannot consent, and I would not want to be with a child. And some people have like an attraction, and they don't want that attraction, or if they do, like, they don't act on it, and like, and then like people just like, they can't even talk to anyone about it because they're afraid that like they're gonna be like sent to prison or whatever. Because like, oh, you can't even mention that, like, anything about minors, like, or like, obviously the truth is like, yeah, like, scientists have been talking about it for a while. There's a difference between pedophilia and hebephilia or whatever. I mean, the fact that like I feel deathly afraid, like to like even talk about things like that. Because of the way people, and obviously, doing Twitch and stuff, being on Twitter for so long, I don't give a fuck anymore. Nobody cares. The only thing that matters is if you actually do something wrong or do something illegal. Like, obviously. But like, it's just so fucked up when people just immediately just attack you. Because they're like, obviously people who are like propagating, like trying to be with minors, like that's a bit of an issue. Like people, they say like, oh, they're a minor attracted person. It's like, no. I mean, like, yeah, like there are things that might make you tingly, but like acting on that is something else entirely. But at the same time, like there is a conversation to be had, because that's how they treated trans people, or treat trans people, and that's how they treat gay people. That's how they treated gay people. It was actually a crime to be gay. And obviously there's a huge difference, because being gay, like, is still between consenting adults. However, like, when is the age of consent? Like, that's a serious discussion. Like, is it 18? It might be. Is it 19? It might be. It might be older. Maybe 18 is too young. Like, maybe people are not ready at 18. I don't think so. I think people are ready like at freaking 14 when they watch porn every fucking day, and everybody around them tells them that they can't have sex because they're not old enough. And it's like, they can't even have sex with each other or whatever. Like, what the fuck? They do it anyway. They get pregnant at 13 and shit. And you know why? It's probably because people are like making such a big deal out of it. You know what? People probably wouldn't be getting pregnant at 13. They probably wouldn't even be having sex if they just like were allowed to be themselves. and just go through their hormones, whatever that might be, or go through whatever. And the fact, like, there was a kid who killed himself because he was sexting with a girl or something like that, and he didn't know that it was illegal. And like, why is it fucking illegal for two minors to do that? Like, they're not adults. Like, they should be able to do stuff with each other, at least. Jesus fucking Christ. Gonna force them to be, like, you know, not be able to masturbate in privacy for their whole life until they're 18, and then they can't even leave because we don't live in the 60s anymore. You can't just move out on $100 a month, or like on $50 a month or whatever the fuck they were living on, because they're like, oh, you know, I picked myself up by the bootstraps. And like, no, you didn't. Like, you didn't have to pay for shit. Everything was handed to you. Especially if people were like, oh, you know, I went to the military, and I you know, it's like, well, you had to go to the military just to get an education. That's fucked up. That, like, that's the reason why to join the military, is because of, oh, you know, if you join the military, we'll pay for college. It's like, okay, well, you have to, like, risk killing people or being killed just to go to freaking college? It doesn't make any fucking sense. I mean, yeah, like, there's just certain things that, like, people don't understand if you talk about it. Because, like, they get the wrong idea. They, like, call you a child molester, or they call, and it's like, no. Like, stop. Calm the fuck down. Not everybody is a fucking child molester. It's one thing, you know, it's also, there are academics who are talking about this, because there actually are people who are attracted to minors, and they feel like they can't even talk about it because they're gonna feel like they're prisoners, because it's like society does not accept it. And yeah, like, you know, like, what are they supposed to do? They can never feel it. They can never, like, if you're gay or you're trans, like, well, that's different. But like, if you're gay or you're straight or whatever, and you want to have sex with someone, you have that option because, you know, you're of a certain age and you can consent. But like, there's people out there who are attracted to people who can never consent. And what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to, like, sit there and just be in agony for their whole life? And then just, like, if they even like look at, like, you know, pretend pictures of people who are younger, like cartoons, fictional characters who have they can't they don't need to consent. They're not real. Or they make sex dolls in, like, China that are like, you know, more like younger in appearance. It's like, they're not people. Like, why is that? Why do people get so weird about that? They're like, oh, that's fucking disgusting. That's weird. It's like, no, you're just, it sounds like you're having a problem with it because, like, you're afraid of your own thoughts, whatever that might be. It sounds like a you problem. Like, people who are like, it sounds like they're projecting. It's just like when people are transphobic or homophobic. They're so angry about it because they have those thoughts. Because they don't want to feel those thoughts. But then, like, why are people's thoughts being policed? And, like, why are artists who, like, are amazing artists who are creating, like, artwork that is, like, completely, like, not infringing on anybody's human rights? It's just a picture of people that's, like, you know, Shota or whatever, or all that kind of stuff. People really fucking like it. You know why? Because it's not children. Because it's a drawing. Because it's not going to hurt anyone. And yet, like, if you like even have that, people are going to be like, oh, you're a child molester. It's like, what the fuck? Play B4. Oh. Yeah, hey, Evil T. How do you know that command, Chosuke? Yeah, and you know, like, I'm a very careful person. Just because, like, I am pansexual. And so like I am attracted to more than just like one gender, and like there's things that I'm attracted to sometimes that are like not okay to be attracted to, and I, you know, avoid it. Yeah, I canceled my affiliate because like it wasn't really doing anything. It's not good for my career. Like, it's not good. Well, you know, streaming isn't going to help me grow. And I'm just doing it right now just because I'm just trying to get through each day and just kind of just using it as a place to just talk about shit. Interesting topics, you know, it's just like people, like there are people who are minor attracted. It doesn't mean they're going to act on it. And it doesn't mean that you have to like be like, you know, criticize them and like you know, ridicule them and like you know, take away their job, or you know, like just because somebody like has like thoughts sometimes and like, you know, they're not proud of it. But it happens because it's just, there's stuff in this world that you don't even know why it turns you on. Like, I can be turned on by a freaking piano. Like I'm pansexual, but like I am understanding of consent. And there's certain people who can never consent, and there's certain people I would never even... First of all, I don't even pursue most sexual relationships. Usually I wait for people to come to me. Like my boyfriend I'm going to be seeing today. Yeah, Twitch can become a healing place, and there's a lot of things that like I'm afraid to say, and this is kind of one of the big things, and I'm kind of feeling a little bit more empowered now, because it's one of those things where it's like if anybody knows, like you're seen as a monster, and it's not what they think it is. They just jump to these conclusions. They think it's like this, like they think like that you're this like insanely like disgusting like pedophile person. And it's not who I am. I'm just a person who every now and then there might be thoughts that invade that like I don't really have control over, because it's like I need to masturbate. like masturbation is one of my self-soothing techniques. And a lot of the time you can't do it because it's like you can't do it in like unless you're at home, unless you're in private. But most of the world does not allow you to be private. And I want to have sex with people. I want to like, you know, consenting people, obviously. It's just like, I mean, there's a difference between the people who are like, I don't know, I'm just different. I don't think I'm a minor attracted person. I think I would know. But like there's people out there who are. And like they can't do anything about it. They can't even talk about it. They have to go in private and like feel like they're monsters. Yeah, and you know that what makes me a human also is my self-control, and also my unwillingness to pursue it, to pursue those thoughts. My avoidance of those thoughts, that's also human. So that's the difference, is somebody who seeks out that kind of stuff, and someone who just like every now and then a random thought pops in while you're having sex or whatever, and you're like trying to shake it away, but like I don't need to be ashamed of it. I think that's what a lot of adults, I think that's why a lot of adults who are in marriages have trouble having sex with each other. Because like they have to deal with their kids all day, and I feel like they might be ashamed that like because they have to think about their kids all day that they can't have sex because, oh, I can't have sex because with my husband or my wife because there's kids in the house. Like what the fuck? Like there's got to be so many fucking painful people, like people suffering in marriages. Because they're afraid to have sex because there's kids in the house. And it's got to be take a fucking toll on people. So it's like people need to wake the fuck up. Like obviously don't go out of your way to like introduce sexual content or sexual activities to minors, but at the same time, like, don't like say like, oh, you know, we're talking about sex, like spelling it changes anything, like, or like they say like, oh, the F word, like like what the fuck. Like, what is, like, the word fuck literally hurts nobody, and yet they like bleep it out of songs on the radio or whatever. Like, what the fuck? Who are you trying to protect? The kids just don't even fucking care. They're just like, okay, this is my environment, this is my reality, and then they learn, and thankfully there's more they're able to learn more because we have the internet, and they can say like they don't have to only have their own experience to draw experience from, like to draw their knowledge from. Like, there's people out there who from a very young age convince their children that they can't masturbate because it's a sin. I think that should be fucking illegal. That's abusive. That's completely fucking abusive. And anybody who fucking does that to a kid should fucking pay for it. Telling a kid every single week or every day that, you know, oh, you know, being, you know, oh, those gay people, they're sinners. Oh, those trans people, they're sinners. Oh, you know, oh, real Christians, you know, they don't have sex. Oh, real Christians don't masturbate. They keep away those impure thoughts. Or they like, oh, you know, real Christians don't like, you know, experiment like with their bodies or with their sexuality. They just go to school and act like good little children. And it's like, at the root of it is that they just don't, they just want kids to be quiet. They just want kids to like just be not a problem. And it's like, well, why don't you just let, and they're doing so at the cost of kids' mental health. So it's like they're trying to like shield them, but they're like manipulating their children with their beliefs, which is exactly what they accuse people of doing with trans youth. It's the exact same thing that they're accusing people of doing, which is not what's happening at all. But, you know, it's like, yeah, I mean, there's certain porn that, like, you know, there's like, you know, there's like, you know, lolly porn and stuff like that. And it's, I mean, it, like, why do people get so weird about it? Like, it's just drawings. It's not real. It's like, what, would you rather them actually, like, would you rather people actually, instead of jacking off to that, and would you rather them just be denied their entire sexuality and not even be able to express it? And would you rather them just walk around in a fucking trench coat and, like, you know, flashing themselves at children? Like, that's what people end up doing. That's why they're acting like that. It's because of you. Instead of actually giving people access to things that will actually, you know, obviously they're aware. They're very much aware that they will never be able to have sex with a minor. But, like, at least give them fucking lolly porn. Jesus fucking Christ. A drawing absolutely doesn't even exploit anyone. It's just a single artist who's, like, an adult. Or, like, if, you know, like, or like voice actors and voice actresses are adults if they voice over a cartoon character. Like, it's okay for me to jack off to a cartoon. I've jacked off to plenty of cartoons, like, not even porn, just like Totally Spies. But anyway, enough about that. Yeah, sorry. It's one of the things that I'm like, my heart starts racing when I talk about certain topics, and that's one of the topics, because as soon as you say something about that, the immediate judgment by, like, so many fucking people, especially on the internet, but so many people, is they're like, that's fucking disgusting. You're a fucking pervert. You're a pedophile for even talking about that, for even mentioning that there's people who exist like that. Like, no, people fucking exist. There's people out there who are like that. And it's like, what are you gonna do? Just pretend that it doesn't exist? Yeah, send me a challenge. Anyway, I'm done. I'm not done, but, like, it's just one of those things. Like, I feel like I can't even talk about things. And this must be how like the conservatives feel, because I think that they believe that they can't talk about certain things because like, oh, we're gonna hurt the transgender people feelings or whatever. Yeah, people on the internet are definitely extra douchey. It doesn't matter. Play whatever you like. I'm kind of just chilling today and chatting. I'm just like kind of hanging out, and I'm also delaying the time before I try, you know, because I'm trying to wean myself off of weed, and I've wanted to smoke for like the past hour, but I'm putting it off, to like, you know, as long as I can, just to like space it out more. And yeah, it's like, obviously this is one of the things, like, if you put yourself on the internet, you have to, like, people feel like they have to like, oh, I can't say this or people might think this. And it's like, I don't give a fuck what people think anymore. I know who I am. I know I'm not a fucking child molester. Like, people accuse Vosh. It does help. But it also doesn't help in some ways. And so I have to, like, have a balance. It is. It's also clearing my sinuses. But no, it's like people are accusing Vosh of being a child molester just because he was talking about the age of consent or whatever, or Destiny. Like, oh, Destiny talking about, oh, having sex with 14-year-olds. Oh, he's a pervert. Like, I don't think he was definitely not on his stream saying, I want to have sex with a 13-year-old. Like, no, he was not doing that. Like, no. He's just saying, hey, like, people out there are doing this. Let's talk about this topic. It's a very heated topic. It's very controversial. Let's talk about it. And that's perfectly fine. It's like you're badly coughing and you ignore taking cough syrup. Yeah, weed can be like cough syrup sometimes. And it's like you don't always want to take cough syrup. But I do need to wean myself off because I'm going to be going through a lot of important stuff. But also, that's kind of why I need it. It's because I'm going through a lot of important stuff. It's really fucking difficult to explain. But, like, I'm going through a really fucking rough time in my life right now. And it's crucial that I just stay regular. I stay, like, focused. And I know it's hard to understand. But, like, for me, like, being, like, a little bit out of, like, a little bit loopy, like, you know, being stoned or whatever, it helps take away all the edge off of, like, because I'm constantly like, here's my problems, like, it's just like grinding. And when I'm smoking weed, I don't feel like I'm grinding. I feel like I'm able to just, like, laugh and be silly. But it's a crutch. It's a cough syrup. That doesn't help forever. And so that's why I'm weaning myself off of it. And I don't know. Yeah, so I don't really have, I mean, I don't know. There's some things that I just have strong opinions about. Some things I'm just kind of neutral about. I don't think that it's wrong. Some people think it's wrong, but I don't think it's wrong to be attracted to drawings of people just to, the drawing indicates somebody who's supposedly, it's a fictional character who's, like, supposed to look like they're, like, younger than 18 or whatever, like they're 14 or younger. And, like, some people are like turned on by that because it's taboo. Just like people used to be considered taboo to be attracted to have interracial relationships. However, the difference is that there's a huge power imbalance, and that's the problem. So if you are 30 years old, like I'm almost 34, it would be extreme power imbalance for me to try to pursue relationships with a minor, which is illegal. But if it weren't illegal, let's say it weren't illegal, like, there's still, like, a moral problem. Like, just because something's legal doesn't make it moral. Something can also be illegal and also be moral. Also something could be legal and be completely immoral. Like, slavery was legal. But comparing things on a one-to-one basis is not gonna, it's useless. Because it's not the same. It's very, very, very different. Because in one case, Like your body isn't automatically healing whatever the weed's healing, right? Yeah, my body doesn't heal my mental health. There's no organ for that, except for my brain, which I can slowly work on. I have to change the way I think about things, but that takes time. And I've been going to therapy for 2 years now. Like since January of 2020 with this therapist. Therapy is it's definitely necessary. I would not be able to do anything without therapy. I wouldn't have been able to get access to my surgery that I'm going to be having without therapy. But yeah, I mean, the thing is like, I was constantly, you know, I have like a fear of children. Not really a fear, but I taught children for a while. But the reason I have a fear is because I know my autism. Well, now I do. And sometimes my autism, and because I'm pansexual, like, I don't like having certain thoughts and feelings, and I don't have them around children. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is like, somebody could just brush up against me. It doesn't matter if it's sexual or not. Like, I can be aroused by like non-sexual things. And so that's why it bothers me, and why I definitely don't want children. Because I don't want to be sexual around children. It's very important that I do not. Not just because it's like illegal, but because it feels improper to me. It feels wrong to feel like sexual around minors. Even if it's not towards them. Even if it's just like, you know, like I had like a thought about something and it made me tingle, even though nobody around me would notice. You know. I don't get erections, really. I mean, I have to force it. So it's like, but like, you know, the thing is like, for the longest time, I don't know, it's just like, why are people so judgmental over sexual things? Like, why am I not allowed to be happy? Why am I not allowed to enjoy my body? Without people judging me for being like, oh, you're just a fucking slut or whatever, or oh, like, you can't think those things because like it's wrong. You're not. It's like, you know, you're supposed to like be an adult. You can't always think about sex or whatever. Why do I care? I don't know. I actually don't. I mean, I said I don't care, but like, I'm finding myself more and more as time goes on, especially as like just talking in a space that I've created like on Twitch and stuff. Like, I've learned that, like, it real, and I heard Soda Pop, and it kind of helped when I heard Soda Pop and say something. He's like, people do not give a fuck about you. Like, they don't. And he said, like, you know, think about it. If you see some crazy person yelling in the street, like, while you're on a walk or whatever, like, do you think about that person for the rest of your day? Like, you kind of just say, oh, that's weird, that person's yelling or whatever. And it's like, you move on with your own life. And so, like, really, like, I shouldn't care what people think. I know who I am. I know I won't break the law. You know, I know that I won't hurt people, which in that case it would be hurting people, because people are very influential at that age, you know, especially with sexual feelings, and they're just learning their sexual feelings. So it's a very crucial time, because they might consent, but they're not able to consent because they're going through a very crucial puberty. At the same time, throughout history and even today, people do get married to like 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds, because that's when you hit puberty. That's when you start to have those adult feelings. But I feel like there needs to be a time where people are safe and have a freedom to explore it themselves, rather than being forced by people who are going to manipulate them, people who are going to use their power of like being older and like having more control to manipulate someone into thinking that they want it. Because it's still rape even if you said yes. Because like, if you're in a situation where you can't say no, that's what rape is. And people think it's just like, oh, you're forcing yourself on someone. That's one rape. That's very violent. I feel like that time is called college. Yeah, but some people are very sexually active at like 12, like I was. and I only had myself to deal with, and that's usually what most people do. But like, you can't do anything about it because you have to be at school every day, all day. And when you're at home, there's everyone bothering you. There's like family members around you. Everybody, like, you don't have any privacy. But like, everyone's like acted like it was something that was like a luxury. Like, oh, you're just jacking off, whatever. Like, no, it's really fucking important. Really fucking important. It's probably why I have a lot of the issues today. It's because I didn't get to use my self-soothing techniques. Because I'm autistic. And I didn't know I was autistic then, but like, you know. So I have to be very careful about my sexual advances towards people. Because I can be very flirtatious, but sometimes it's inappropriate. And yeah, like, maybe I should just stop caring. Maybe I should stop caring what people think. Maybe I should just say, like, you know what? If they think I'm like a weirdo or whatever, or inappropriate for being like a little bit sexual in context with people, so what? Like, I don't care. I don't think sex is this disgusting thing that needs to be avoided at all costs. I don't think it's this thing that you have to, like, you know, pretend doesn't exist just because there might be children around. I don't think it's this thing that, like, you have to, like, hurt yourself constantly by, like, forcing yourself to, like, control your urges. Like, yeah, you can control your actions, but, like, you can't really control what turns you on. 'Cause some things turn you on. And I can only imagine the kind of pain that people who are, like, obviously people who commit crimes, like, they have to pay for their crime. That's illegal. If someone commits a crime, they pay for it. That's what justice is. But, like, there's people out there who are, like, you know, have, like, a hebephile or pedophile, and they don't do anything about it for their whole life. So it's like, why demonize every single person who, like, just for having feelings that they can't control, and that they actually are desperately trying to control because they know that it's wrong. And I couldn't even understand, like, people who were a pedophile. I don't really, I'm disgusted by young children. They smell weird. They freaking smell like poop. Like, they just smell like little kids smell. But like I said, like, that's my case. Like, I'm not that, but there are people who do have that. And it's like, how come we don't have compassion for these people? They're suffering from something that they can never act on, and if they talk about it, people will demonize them. And so you should be, like, treating them with extra, like, care. Saying, like, hey, like, I'm sorry that you have to have these feelings. Like, this is something that you can never experience. This is something, like, you know, imagine if you're gay, but then you finally, you know, like, come out, and then you start dating people, and you get to have sex. Well, people who are pedophiles or hebephiles can never do that. And it's just, I can understand the frustration and how it might make people feel like they need to kill themselves. Because how are you supposed to live when you have an attraction to something you can never deal with? You can't even masturbate about it, because if you have it on your computer, people are going to think that you're like a child molester. But I don't care what people think anymore. I don't have stuff like that on my computer. Obviously, if it's actual child porn, that is actually wrong, because it's like exploiting people, it's rape. But honestly, it still exists. And people know it exists, but, like, they don't want to acknowledge that it exists. They just see it as like, oh, somebody has this, they're like a complete criminal, and like, we should just treat them like that for the rest of their life, and we should completely deny them access to society. We should completely just punish them for the rest of their life just because they have a sexual attraction that nobody can understand. That you know. You know, some people have an open mind. I have a pretty open mind. Some people don't. Like if somebody was talking about this topic to me, like, I don't, like, I'm talking about it now. Like, I don't really cringe at it. Like, it's just like, okay, well, I mean, it is a bit of a, I mean, it makes me, like, just talking about it makes me feel like my heart's racing. It's like, I've said and done so many things on the internet at this point. Like, what the fuck? It doesn't fucking matter. I'm not a criminal. I'm not committing crimes. I'm not doing anything. I'm not hurting anybody. And in fact, the only person I end up hurting is myself, because I feel so much pressure to hide my thoughts. Because I know that people don't understand. They don't have an open mind. They don't allow themselves to ponder things, even things that are scary. Like, this is a very scary topic, because it's like, you know, people do that and they're very bad people. But people who have those thoughts aren't bad. People who do the actions are bad. Everybody has every thought. Every single thought that is possible, you have thought. And also I feel like you'd probably have even darker thoughts. Like, I'm sure everyone has been angry with someone enough to think about, like, oh, like, I wish they're like, you know, obviously, like, take a baseball bat and hit them. And obviously, if you're not like if you don't have some kind of like mental predisposition to that kind of anger, like, it's probably like a natural feeling. It doesn't mean you're going to act on it. Like, some people don't have the ability to control themselves. Like, they'll act on their violence, just like some people won't control their sexual feelings, and then they act on it, and then you put them in prison. But why do we just put them in prison where they're just going to suffer for the rest of their life, and then when they get back to society, they have to go door to door to door to door to door and tell every single person, and their whole life is going to be determined by like I don't know. It's like, you know, obviously, you know, don't let that person around children. But, like, why not? Why can't that person exist in society anymore? Why does the entirety of society have to judge someone? Obviously, you know, it's fucked up. It's a fucked up situation, because even I'm judgmental. Like, I'm calling that person like a fucking rapist. Like, consent is like the most. Anybody who breaks consent is probably like as far as things go for me. Like, anybody who breaks someone's consent is like a terrible person, and I don't put up with it. And I don't know why I'm talking about this. I think it's just because I've been worked up lately, and like I can't really. I mean, I've been smoking weed for too long, and like weed can help, but it's not really helping right now. But it kind of is. But I also want to delay it, because like I want to space it out so that I can quit it within the next couple days. Because I need to wean myself off of it. I was going to try to do it cold turkey, but it's really painful. I don't know, I'm being too hard on myself. It's still early. It's like 8 in the morning, and I'm talking about like freaking like maps. What the fuck? Welcome to Twitch. Yeah, okay, like, you know, I feel a lot more confident in myself as time goes on, because I know who I am. I know my actions. I know my control. I know that, like, also, I don't seek out thoughts like that, but I also acknowledge that thoughts like that do come up. And it doesn't make me some kind of terrible person just for like randomly having those thoughts. Because, like, sometimes thoughts happen. Sometimes you just give in to them because you're like touching yourself and it feels good. But if you mention it to anybody who doesn't have an open mind or anything like that, they're just like, oh, you're freaking sick. I'm gonna make sure you're never gonna be able to go in public again. It's like, so I'm afraid to even talk about topics like this, because like my life's already fucked. I'm already socially isolated. You know, I'm autistic. I'm trans. I'm pansexual. I'm also polysexual, which is like not accepted. And if people also thought that I was like that kind of person, what hope would I ever have? And the thing is, I should just stop caring what people think, because I know who I am. I'm not a child molester. I like, what the fuck? But like, this idea that people would think that I am, it has been constantly bothering me. And like all my actions, like I try to be very careful that like nobody could even think that I'm like doing something even remotely sexual in public or whatever. But then I'm suffering. Like I'm just always in suffering because I don't know how to like exist in the world that just wants you to be like celibate all the time. It punishes you for wanting privacy. There's no privacy out. You have to pay for it. You have to like pay for like a hotel room just to have privacy, to have sex. There's nowhere to do it unless you have a place for privacy, and some people don't even have that. But then some people get arrested for having sex in public. Well, there's nowhere else to have sex. There's homeless people who have no place to live, and then they go to jail because they were having sex in public, and then they get labeled a sex offender for the rest of their life because it was like two consenting adults having sex because in the only place they could because they're homeless. Like, oh, you should just not have sex then. What the fuck? Like, they're already homeless, and like the one thing that they could possibly do to try to make things feel better is maybe have sex with each other, and yet society calls that a sex offense because it's in public. Well, it's like, give people privacy then. Fuck. If you're afraid of seeing homeless people, then why don't you house them? Because if you house them, that solves the fucking problem, doesn't it? Oh, but they have to work for it. They have to pick themselves up by the bootstraps. Like, fuck you. Like, people are just suffering for like decades at a time in homelessness. I was only homeless like for a very short time, and it was like 4 years, but I was also in homeless shelters. A lot of people don't have what it takes to go to homeless shelters because a lot of the homeless shelters require you to be clean and sober, and there's a lot of people who drink alcohol or smoke weed, and as soon as you get discovered, you get kicked out and you're homeless again. And so it's like, what the fuck? You're gonna make it even harder for people? And so obviously people have thoughts that like if they acted on them are very wrong and like would be punished by the law. But at the same time, like they can't even think about it. They can't even like look at like a non-harmful drawing of something that just gets them through it, you know? Jesus fucking Christ. I don't know why sexuality is considered this huge, like, taboo thing. And yet, like, you teach your kids, like, that being gay is a sin, and that, like, if you have sex, if you're with somebody of the same sex, that you're going to hell. And they don't think that's a problem. But they think teaching kids about sex is a problem, which would be educating them so that they can make better decisions, so that they can be safer, so that they can avoid child molesters. Like, god damn it, like literally like anything can turn me on. I'm pansexual, like in like the extreme sense of the word. It's autism stuff, like just like anything. It's like a lot of the time, like why I have a really hard time functioning because I can't take care of it. Anyway, I don't know. I'm just rambling on. Yeah, I think people do understand this. People do understand this. But I think like the people, a lot of people don't. Like the general public doesn't. But I feel like, you know, mental health professionals understand. And usually the problem is like law enforcement is a problem because they just immediately jump to conclusions. It's just so fucked up, and that's why I'm so afraid to even talk about stuff like that. It's like, well, what? Okay, FBI, open up, whatever. You know, the fucking meme. It's like, god damn it. Like, why don't you go punish the people who are actually fucking hurting people instead of me, who's just sitting here, not even hurting a fly, but I get judged because of like sexuality. And yeah, it bothers me because like you know, doing the line of work that I do outside of Twitch stuff. It was hard for me to do because I'm like, oh, well, what if young people see it? And it's like, well, they're not supposed to see it, but like, you know what? People don't get to make me feel people don't get to make me feel like I'm wrong. People don't make me, like, I'm allowed to do that. I'm allowed to feel good. I'm allowed to be happy. And you know what? Like, I fucking watched porn when I was 12. Get the fuck over it. Grow the fuck up. Stop projecting your own fucking bullshit. Accusing trans people of like wanting to like rape people in the bathroom. It's probably because that's what you're thinking. Or accusing someone for jacking off at in their own privacy of their own home. At a cartoon drawing of a fictional character who looks a certain way, of being like this monster. Yeah, see you, Hugemu. But you know, talking about it makes me feel more powerful because like I am in control of myself. I am in control of my actions. And having a thought is not a crime. That's you know, like the same people who seem to be like constantly like accusing people of like, oh, you know, I get to have freedom of speech, you know, my thought. It's like, well, what about my thoughts? My sexual thoughts. But yeah, part of me was actually really like having difficulty trying to do OnlyFans and stuff because I'm like, you know, or doing camming because like, you know, all they do is there's like one little button that you click that says that you're 18. So it's like, yeah, like, okay, I have to accept that, like, okay, like some people who are younger might be watching it. Okay, fuck. God damn it. Like, that's not what I'm aiming for, but I know that it's true because I know when I was 12, I did that. But at the same time, like, I'm allowed to be happy, and that's the way I express my sexuality, is sharing it with people. Being happy and confident about my body. I've worked so hard to change to be right. But yeah, I mean, this is one of the things that, like, it's just... It's one of those things where it's like, you can't talk about stuff like this, you know, quote-unquote. You can't talk about it, quote-unquote. Because, like, oh, if you say that, everybody will think you're a child molester. So, like, fuck you. You don't get to do that. You don't just get to, like, label me as something just because, and then like, you know, oh, you can't talk about this because we label you as this, you know. It's just like with trans people. They're like, oh, you know, we're gonna make it seem like, you know, it's weird to do what you're doing. You can't, if you're assigned male at birth, you have to be a boy. It's like, well, in that case, I have full body autonomy and consent, so I can actually do something about that. But like, with sex with people, like adult, like, you know, consenting adults, they have to be consenting, and I can't control that. I could express my willingness, but like they have to be willing to consent. So it's like, it's one of those things where I don't know. I just feel like I feel like I can't even express certain thoughts because I have such an open mind. Like, I can talk about things. It doesn't bother me too much. If it bothered me, I wouldn't be talking about it. Like, I can talk about things that people are like, oh, you're not supposed to talk about that. It's like, it's not illegal to talk about something. Jesus fucking Christ. Unless you're, like, harming someone. And the behavior that should be demonized, and not even demonized, just like the behavior that should be like dealt with, is like the actual like violent behavior, not somebody like thinking it. randomly against their wishes. Because every now and then a thought like that just pops up, and it's fucking normal. It's fucking perfectly okay. I don't know why I'm trying to convince myself. See, you guys understand? It's so hard for me to like wrestle with like certain topics, because it's like there's part of me that's like, oh, like, you know, I should be able to say what I want, but a part of me also is like, well, I have to also exist in society, and there's certain topics, if you talk about them, people are like, oh, you're not supposed to talk about that. And also, it's just like, sometimes I question my own morality. But then also, like, it's just like, I just feel like the whole world is just punishing people for being sexual. Like, god damn it, let them have a fucking sex doll. Oh, but it looks like a child. So what? It's not a child, it's a fucking sex doll. Oh, but that's weird. Okay, it's weird to you, but to the person who actually has like a mental, like, it's like an issue. Like, they have like a mental thing that they can't change. So at least give them a fucking sex doll. Jesus fucking Christ. Which they do, you know, in some countries. They have a sex doll that's like shaped that way. It's like, okay, well, yeah, it feels a little wrong to me, but that's for me. Like, what about someone who absolutely would need that? I understand, because I'm trans, and like not being able to transition made me feel like killing myself. So it's like, why don't you just let them fucking just jack off in their own fucking house with the things that they want to jack off to, instead of fucking controlling every single fucking thing people can jack off to. Oh, you can't even think about that, it's illegal. Like, what the fuck? Even if it's not a real person? Like, what the fuck? Whatever. I just don't care what people think anymore, because people are going to think whatever the fuck they think. Nothing you say or do is going to change it. That's how the internet works. So I can, you know, I don't even really feel strongly about this. I don't know why I'm talking about it even. It has been something that has bothered me. So that's why I'm talking about it. Because it's like, it's one of those things. Like, how are you supposed to, like... I judge people for being that way. I'm like, oh, that's fucking sick. That's disgusting. I'm like, oh, shit. I have to be careful. Like, why am I doing that? Like, that's what they were doing about me for being trans. And now I'm doing that for people who are, you know, struggling with some kind of like extreme problem that they can never solve, because it would put them in prison for like their whole life. Yeah, anyway. It's one of those things. I've talked to my therapist about stuff like this. And she, you know, she knows who I am, and she knows, like, it's hurting me because I'm the one making it into something that hurts me. It's not necessarily about the topic. It's that me personally, I get really worked up about things. Because I feel like there's no control. I feel like people are just trying to force people to be a certain way. And if they don't match it, they get punished. And it's like, some people are more sexually, like, active than others. And some people like to showcase that online. Or in public, you know, because it makes them feel happy. But then people are like, oh, that's inappropriate. I'm like, why? What the fuck? You're the one making it inappropriate. It was perfectly fine until you made it inappropriate. Like, why am I not allowed? Like, fucking bullshit. And I am allowed, though. That's the thing. So I'm totally allowed to do OnlyFans and stuff. And it makes me happy knowing that, like, I get to explore my sexuality that way. But then people make you feel, like, bad. People make you feel shamed. Because they're like, oh, like, sex is taboo. Or they're like, oh, you can't do sex because, like, you know, because everyone's going to see you, you know, like, oh, you know, we're not going to let you have this job anymore because you do OnlyFans. Like, that's fucking discrimination. They're like, oh, get out, you know, it's just, you know, like, no, it's not discrimination, it's just inappropriate. It's like, you're the one calling it inappropriate. I don't think sex is shameful. I don't think sex is disgusting. I think there's, you know, it has to be consensual, and there's certain conditions that have to be met in order for something to be considered consensual, not just someone saying yes. There has to be other things. They have to be of, like, a certain age where you know that they're not, like, being, like, forced. Because you don't want to force anyone. But, like, it's a difficult topic for me to talk about because sex is, like, seen as this disgusting thing by society, and that if you do it in public, or no, that if you do it and people see it, that it makes you a pervert. Oh, don't do that. Like, for the longest time I was like, oh, I don't want to do that because kids might see it. And I'm like, who gives a fuck? I mean, it's only going to be the people who want to see it. It's not going to be people who, like, obviously it'd be abusive for like a parent to force their child to watch porn. Like, that would be fucking abusive. Just like I think it would be abusive to, like, yell at a kid for watching porn. To tell them that they're being naughty. To tell them that they're wrong. That they're not supposed to do that. And that's what I was, like, drilled into my mind my whole life. Because, you know, either directly or indirectly. Just because of people's attitudes. There goes my queen. Fuck. God damn it. I'm gonna fucking delete the VOD, okay? No, I'm not. I can't. Internet's forever. Fuck. Yeah, people need to fucking learn how to accept me. That's the fucking bullshit. That's the fucking thing. People need to fucking learn how to accept people like me. Okay, if you don't like what I say, don't fucking punish me across the entirety of society because you don't agree with my fucking feelings about sex. But I think it's a totally healthy thing. There's nothing wrong about it. And what's wrong is rape. Yeah, I mean, I hate to break it to people, though. Like, people are like, oh, but, you know, we have to protect minors. Like, people who are, like, 12 or 13, they have access to, like, iPads, computers, their friends' computers, everything. Like, they're gonna be watching porn. I'm sorry to break it to you, but that's a fact of life. Okay? Get the fuck over it. Stop punishing people and acting like it doesn't exist when it does. It's inherent to being a human. Okay? And when people hit a certain age, they start having those feelings. And punishing people for watching porn at that age is fucking abuse. And it happens it's so normalized too. It's seen as this, like, oh, I'm just good parenting. Like, no, you're fucking abusing your child. Because your child wants to fucking explore their sexuality and they're being denied it. Especially if they're gay. You know, if they have a family that's, like, more conservative. It's like, then they can't even share their sexuality. Because they're like, oh, I'm attracted to a certain thing, and you said it's a sin. You said it's wrong. Who are you to fucking judge? You know? What if we said everything you did was wrong? I'm an amazing, beautiful person who wouldn't harm a fly. And yet I'm constantly afraid of society judging me as a monster because of thoughts that I might have or things that I might say. Because people are judgmental over it. And it's so frustrating. Yeah, sorry. It's really hard for me, University. I get stun locked, and it's perfectly fine. I'm perfectly allowed to talk about whatever I fucking want on my stream. I don't have to do what my chat says. But, you know. Not saying anything that hasn't already been said on Twitch. Like, people much more nefarious than me. And I'm not even nefarious. I'm just having a discussion about a topic that has been very serious for me. Because it's like, I think sex positivity is happening, but like it's still like seen as this thing that you could only do like in private, and you can't even talk about it, and you can't like, and if you're and you can and there's no places in private. Like, there needs to be more private spaces in public. People need to be able to go in public and say, hey, like, first of all, there needs to be more public restrooms. It should be guaranteed. You should not have to be a paying customer to go poop or to go pee. People need to fucking poop. People need to fucking pee. Let them fucking pee and poop. Okay? Like, Jesus fucking Christ. What's with all this fucking control people have? Got some issues. Got some serious fucking problems. If you have to control every single person, you want to put homeless spikes on because you don't want people lying down. What the fuck harm are they doing? They're just trying to get through their life. It's already miserable. They're homeless. And they just try to take a nap, and you're gonna like make benches as uncomfortable as possible. You're gonna put like homeless spikes or whatever. You're gonna make there's absolutely like no public restrooms available anywhere. You have to be a paying customer only. There's nowhere to touch yourself. There's nowhere to masturbate. Like, because if you do that, you're like in public and you're breaking the law. It's like, what the fuck? I can't go all the way back home and lock myself in my room just because I need to masturbate like 20 times a day. What the fuck? Why don't you let me do that somewhere else? So I don't have to be locked into my own house, which I've been doing for so many fucking years. Because I can't leave my house for too long, because eventually I need privacy. And it's not just about masturbation. It's like, it's also about like just self-soothing. I need like a place to like decompress and to like get away from all the pressure. Because people pressure you and they're like, no, 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 no. I just want to like have peace and quiet for a second, so I can actually think and get the things done that I need to get done. Fuck. I suck at chess so bad. God damn it. No, I'm so fucking sick and tired of society. God damn it. I constantly feel like I'm gonna be judged just for having thoughts. Oh, but those aren't the thoughts that we want you to have. Like, what the fuck? Like, get the fuck over it. Get the fuck over it. People have sexual thoughts, okay? Like, why act like it's this thing that you have to constantly be, like, controlling? Why can't it be something that people just, like, get to express their sexuality and then move on with their lives so they can be satisfied and happy instead of just pissed off all the time, stressed out all the time because they're forcing themselves to just, like, not even have sex? Because they go, like, entire days, like 9-hour days where they can't do anything because, like, they're at work or whatever. They can't watch porn. Oh, you can't watch porn at work or we'll fire you. What the fuck? You're not even gonna let people fucking jack off at work? just because like you have this idea of like, oh well, they need to look a certain way, they need to act a certain way. Like, what the fuck? They're doing their job. They're on a computer, especially if they're on a computer. Why does it fucking matter where they do the job? Why does it fucking matter what they're wearing? But they're like, you know, with COVID hitting, companies are like, oh, we need to put security cameras in your room so that we know that you're working. Fuck you. You know what? Fuck you. Oh, you have to wear, you know, business attire. You have to, you know, you have to wear according to a dress code. Like, dude, I'm on a fucking computer. I can do it naked. You don't have to look at me. I'm typing things into a computer. Like, what the fuck? What does what I'm wearing have anything to do with the work that I'm doing? People are like, oh no, but it's appearances. I don't fucking care about appearances. Appearances don't have any fucking monetary value. It like the appearances of working, like that's more important than actually allowing your workers to you know, regulate, to do their job the best way they can. Instead of just forcing them to be like, you have to grind, you have to grind, you have to always be grinding. You have to be suffering. You can't even touch yourself. You can't take a break. You have to be there for 9 hours. You get one 30-minute break or whatever. I can't do it. I just can't. I masturbate like 20 times a day. Hey, it's not gonna work. Society does not accept me. And it never will, I don't think. I hope it will. It will not accept the way, I mean, it'll accept me, but it won't like, you know, allow me to work and be a human being. It won't allow me to actually have human relationships. It won't actually allow me to have anything that makes life worth living. Because I'm so ostracized by people for being so fucking different and for speaking my mind and not being afraid to say things. Even things that I am afraid about. I have not even talked about that topic for 2 years of streaming. It took me that long to like feel like, okay, I'm just gonna get over it. And hey, if I got canceled, at least people would be following me on Twitter. Whatever. I'm not gonna get canceled. You know why? It's because I'm a reasonable person. I'm not like advocating for like child molestation. That's fucking wrong. But like, people should have access to sexual relief. What are they gonna do? Maybe science can figure it out. Oh yeah, they did. They can make a sex doll. They can have fictional porn. Why don't you give that to them instead of just forcing them to just, oh, you have to like find God. You have to like find it inside you have to force yourself. You have to be in pain every single day of your life because you can't even think about that because it's wrong. And I don't know, it's like, I just like want to have like casual sex all the time and stuff like that. I want to be able to do like pornography, you know, and that's perfectly fine. But like, you know, there's banks that won't do business with you if you have an OnlyFans. There's people who won't hire you if you have a OnlyFans. It's like, what the fuck? That's discrimination. I should be protected under the law. You shouldn't be able to fire someone just because they have sex. Like, you have sex in the bedroom. What's the difference that if you do it on camera? When are we gonna fire you for having sex with your wife or whatever? Oh, but you have sex. You have to only have sex when you're married, and you have to only have sex when it's at the privacy of your own home. You can't do it on camera because that's wrong. Like, fuck you. Or people who are like teachers, like, oh, if you want to be a teacher, you can't do OnlyFans. Like, what the fuck? The kids aren't going to be seeing that. They're just going to be learning about like 2 + 2 = 4. Like, why don't you just fucking stop discriminating against people for doing sex work? Like, fucking stop. And then they're like, oh, I would never let her around my children. Like, what the fuck? You think that I would be untrustworthy about... First of all, I'm not going to seek out being around people's children. But, like, also, like, why would you be afraid of me? Like, what the fuck? You're going to accuse me of doing something wrong. Like, it's very disrespectful. You're just going to automatically assume that someone's going to be a sex pervert. You automatically assume just because somebody does like OnlyFans or something that they're just gonna be like this sex crazed slut or whatever. And it's like, yeah, I love sex, and there's nothing wrong with being sex crazed. So like, why is that a problem to begin with? Why am I not allowed to experience my human emotions, my human feelings? Anyway, I'm kind of getting tired of this shit. Yeah, it's just like that. There's certain topics that just really upset me, and like the topic of like minor attracted people, like that upsets me, like that, because it's like it's a multifaceted problem, because there's people out there who are minor attracted, and there's nothing that you can ever do that will change that those people exist. But what are we gonna do to help them? Because obviously we can protect the children, and that is protected under the law, and we can do everything we can to hopefully, start getting our act together and actually taking control of the sex trafficking that is happening in our country instead of acting like it's not happening. Jesus fucking Christ. And then you come out at people like who are sex workers or like me, who just like talk about topics that might be a little bit taboo, and you come after me and act like I'm a fucking pervert. Like, I'm not hurting anybody. I'm an adult who's consenting to do my thing. And, but the thing is, like, there are people who are, like, gonna do something bad. And so, it's a very complicated situation, because it's, like, it's been talked about for, like, I think a decade or more now, like, among, like, there was a TED Talk I watched on it, too, about like, what do you do about minor attracted people? Like, you can't just kill them. We're just gonna line up people and shoot them just for, sorry, you got the roll of the dice that says you're minor attracted, sorry, we're just gonna kill you now. You can't exist in society because you have something that you can't change. These people cannot change their sexuality no more than I can change my pansexuality. The difference is I can act on mine and they can't, so they're in a lot more pain than me. They're in a lot more pain than I am, because they can't act on it, because they would be breaking the law. They would be sex offenders. And it's just like, well, what is consent? Like, what is consent? Like, you have to be in control of your faculties. I feel like you have to know, like, what the risk, like, you have to be aware. Like, it's an interesting question. Like, how old is old enough? Like, what is old enough? Like, first of all, when kids ask about where babies come from, or when they ask about sex or masturbation or anything like that, that's the time to tell them about it. But it doesn't mean that they should be having it. But like, you're not going to be able to be in control of that. If they're going to sneak out and have sex with people their age, they're going to do it. So it's like, don't act like it's not going to happen just because you said that they shouldn't. So it's like, people say like, oh, I tell my kids that they can't have sex. Like, okay, well, guess what? Your kid's been having sex for years, it's like with their hidden boyfriend or their hidden girlfriend. They've been hiding from you because they're like, oh, well, if I'm gonna get in trouble for this, well, I'm just gonna do it anyway, because people are gonna fucking do it anyway. And instead of actually trying to deal with that, people are like, oh, well, we should just punish them. Oh, if they do it wrong, well, we told them not to. Let's just become a self-fulfilling prophecy. We told them not to, and now they're doing it. Instead of helping them overcome whatever it was, we're gonna punish them for doing the thing we told them not to do. So fucked up. This prison system is not working in this country. Because there still are murderers, there still are rapists and child rapists. And nobody's done anything to change it. These people are still hurt, and they're hurting people because of it. And so in order to help everyone, you have to help them, because they're the ones doing the most harm. And if they don't have a way to work through those feelings, they're going to try it on their own, and that's when people get hurt. So maybe they could have the care of a doctor, a care of a therapist, and everything can be nice and controlled. And in some states in this country, you know what? In Mormon places that are more Mormon, people are marrying fucking 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds and shit like that. Like 10-year-old, 13-year-olds. So you know what? I'm tired of people's judgment. There's people actually like raping children, and like they're getting away with it legally. because they're married or whatever. In that state, it's legal for them to get married to a minor, which is like arranged marriage. That child is like like what the fuck is going on? Like there's states in our country that actually allow people to marry minors, and you know that those minors are having sex. Like we all know that. Like, so it's like, well, yeah, we could say it's wrong. But if it happens, like, and you know, obviously there's got to be consent. So like, when is the age of consent? Like, is it 18? I don't think it is. I think it's a little younger, like 17 or 16. And in a lot of countries it is. And for some reason in the United States, they have this firm stance on moral ideas that are based in some kind of warped idea of Christian ideology. Like, oh, you know, sex is only for procreation, and like abortion is wrong because life itself is more important than somebody's life, an actual person, an actual member of your community, someone who could be your daughter, or your aunt or your sister. Yeah, I don't know what I'm rambling on about. I'm gonna head out. I'm just kind of rambling on. I just wanted to like try to kind of check in with myself and check in with the stream. I'm not really feeling too motivated today to do stream. Just having like kind of a negative thoughts, and yeah, it's because like I don't know, I'm being too hard on myself for not being able to immediately cold turkey quit weed. And it's like I'm being responsible. I'm weaning off before my important duties that I have that are coming up within next week. I have my hearing next week for Social Security. Yeah, sometimes I'm really afraid, and you know, one of the reasons why I have to build a platform for myself is because the world is not going to allow me to work. I'm just too different. You know, like I'm not afraid to talk about certain things online or do things online that a lot of people will judge me about. Like they'll say like, oh, you know, we saw a video of you having sex, we're not going to hire you. Like, what the fuck? What's wrong with you? I didn't have a problem with it. Why do you have a problem with it? Why are you going to like, you know, discriminate against me for being different? I don't think that's the case much anymore, but maybe it is. Actually, I've heard a lot of things about people having their entire lives controlled by other people dictating how their sexuality should be. Like, my sexuality happens to be on camera. Like, big fucking deal. Get the fuck over it. Grow the fuck up, okay? And I don't know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the hypothetical people. And obviously there's a reason why it's on my mind, is because I've been thinking those thoughts of like judging myself. So it's like I'm trying to tell that part of myself most of the time. Like, I don't know. I'm a beautiful person. I'm a gentle person. I'm loved. I am not a pervert. I am not a predator. I am not wrong. I am not disgusting. I am a good person, okay? And people know that. And I'm constantly afraid that people would think differently if they knew what was on my mind. Like if they knew the kind of thoughts that I had. I've been afraid of that since I was very young. And, you know, the past 2 years on Twitch, like I've been learning how to deal with that better. Because like I'm able to have a place to talk about things here that I feel safe to say. Instead of like feeling like I have to hide everything. Because I know that like potentially the whole this is public to the whole internet, which is the whole world. So it's like if I can say it in front of the whole world, even if obviously the whole world isn't literally watching it, but like the potential for literally the whole world to see something, like is what makes me feel a little bit more confident. Like knowing that I said it in front of like the whole fucking world. Even though I might get fucking canceled. You know what? If I at this point, fucking yeah, cancel me. Do it. I'll get famous. And I'll actually be able to take care of myself and live my life. Instead of like being constantly in struggle, you know? And like, you know, not even being able to like, I don't know. It's just, I'm really glad that I found the strength inside of myself to like do OnlyFans and stuff, because I don't think there's any other way. Like, I don't think there's a way for people to accept me, because I'm too different from them, sadly. Like, but it's changing. Sex positivity is happening. A lot of people have OnlyFans, and it's perfectly fine and acceptable. And anybody who thinks otherwise is just a piece of shit. Anybody who's going to accuse me of being a sexual pervert or whatever is just a fucking piece of shit, okay? So, I know who I am. I'm in control of myself. I'm not a bad person. I'm a good person. People like me. And, I just need to stop being so hard on myself, okay? Like, people aren't going to judge you just the way you think they are. You're the one judging yourself, Rebecca. You're the one judging yourself. You're the one calling yourself a pervert, calling it all. Stop it. People love you. I'm like afraid that like, oh, like if this person thinks, you know, finds out that I said this or whatever, that they're going to think that I'm a sex pervert, or they're going to call me a child molester or something like that. It's like, no, like, you know, even the other day I was on a walk and I heard some women like talking about it, like casually. They're like, oh, you know, what about, you know, pedophilia? Like they just casually mentioned pedophilia in their fucking like conversation, like on their walk. I'm like, it's a real problem, because there are people out there that have that, and they're not able to get help they need. And I know what it's like to not get the help you need, because I'm trans and I didn't get the help I needed for so long. And also I'm pan, and I also like, you know, I'm also very like sexually repressed because of like inability to like express myself sexually, because it's inappropriate everywhere. Most people don't want it. And like they don't want to think about it when they're like they just force themselves to go without it for like entire day. And I can't do that. And so I get punished for it because I have to exist in suffering. And it's not fair, because when you mention it to people, sometimes people just like kind of just brush it off. They're like, oh, it's just sex, or it's just, oh, you just want to jack off. Who cares? Fuck you. Like, no, fuck you. Like, it's very important to my health. It's very important to my medical health and my mental health. Because I need to be able to self-soothe. Because I'm autistic. And that's one of them. But sometimes it's not, but like, I don't know. I'm just having a really tough time. There's a lot of things that I've been struggling with my life, and then like it's really hard to like, all I really have is, control over is like the things that I can say on stream. And like, this is the only way I'm like trying to get through everything right now, is just talking about things. And it's like I keep processing thoughts, and that's good, but like it's like I don't want to be talking about this, but it's there. It's pervasive thought. And it just bothers me, because I'm just so afraid that like my whole life is going to be destroyed because I say something online. And like, I shouldn't feel that way, because there's so many people who have a career online, who are able to actually go through with doing their thing, and they like, they talk about like whatever the fuck they want. They're not hurting anybody. Like, why can't I talk about what I want? And the thing is I can. I mean, at no time am I ever going to let somebody else feel like I should be ashamed of myself. Because that's what they do. They have this like judgment over you, and they make you feel like you're supposed to be ashamed of having like sexual thoughts. Anyway, yeah, sorry for being so educational. This is like the educational part of my stream, when we talk about like kind of academic or human problems or whatever. Because it exists. And ignoring it, putting your head in the sand, is not going to make it go away. And in fact, the things that you fear the most are happening because you're doing that. So instead of, like, maybe if you want to protect the children, then why don't you try to help those people who are hurting the children too? Not just the children. Obviously help the children. They're the victims. But like, why not help the people who, before it's too late, before they've committed an unforgivable crime? Like, why don't you help people when they're young? Instead of like pushing them to be somebody they're not for their whole life, and then at some point they just do something that they can't come back from because they've had so much. And it's like, yeah, like for me that was like being able to transition. Like, think about how many people out there who were denied something in life, and like, you know, some of these people end up becoming like very violent people. And it's like, it didn't start out that way. You know what started? It was a fucking adult abusing them. Whether it was physically or mentally or like controlling them in the classroom. Some teacher who has complete control over an entire room of children gets to say whatever the fuck they want without repercussion. And then when there is repercussion, it's too late because they've already said something or done something. And it's like, they think it's okay to just like, you know, they just like push their own political agenda using a platform of a school. You know, they'll use their their platform as a teacher to like tell their kids not to get vaccinated or something. It's like, no, you don't get to push your stupid beliefs on people. Oh, God damn it. I don't know. That's why I'm so obsessed with being perceived as beautiful, is because I don't want to be, because sometimes I see myself and I see a disgusting person, a monster. And I'm not. I'm beautiful and I'm allowed to have the thoughts I have. Okay, it does not make me a monster. It doesn't make me a pervert. It makes me a human being. And I feel like society should start shifting to doing what matters instead of doing what you think matters, because that's not effective. You're pretending like things work out and it doesn't, because people are still having these problems. And until you actually recognize the problems and start to work on them and to help the people and to heal the people, because they're broken too. They wouldn't be doing what they did, like these, these child molesters. They wouldn't have done what they did if they weren't broken. Okay, so like they need help before it's too late. Because if you care about your kids, then you should try to help them, not demonize people just for saying certain thoughts. And obviously nobody said that. Literally nobody's in chat right now. I'm the one demonizing them. Do you get it? Like, that's why I'm here. That's why I talk about the things I do. It's because I'm the one who's judgmental over myself. So anybody in chat, like, is not going to be bothering me. I don't know why people think that doing, like, hate raids and stuff is going to bother me. Because you have no idea how much, like, this hate raid is. This fucking person inside of me that keeps telling me that I'm a monster. When I'm not. I'm this beautiful girl who just does nothing but love and have compassion. And is the most non-violent person out there. Maybe not, but you know, I hate violence. Like doing something against somebody's wishes and making them feel pain. I don't want that. And but people accuse, because like, you know, the way I was brought up, which was wrong, was that like everything you say you have to watch everything you say, because otherwise people will think something bad. And that's what my mom did to us. She trained us to like act a certain way around people because, oh, well, if you act that way, they're all going to bully you and they're all going to laugh at you. It's like, well, okay, well, how come I'm getting punished for them bullying? How come I have to change myself to match their bullshit? It doesn't make any sense. And, I don't know. I'm very pretty. I'm very beautiful. I do have, you know, physical traits that bother me, and I have things about my mind that I'm scared of, but I need to stop being scared because it's just my brain. The thoughts come and go. It's your actions that matter, and I know what my actions are, and I trust my actions. I know who I am. I get to decide who I am. And nobody else gets to dictate that through some kind of bullshit society rules. I don't have to go through your fucking hoops anymore. I'm done going through your hoops. I never had to. I never had to go through your hoops. But I've been going through your hoops my whole life, and I'm tired of it. And it's been taking me like 2 years to try to get out of that. To be able to say what's on my mind. To be able to have my thoughts and my opinions. Even if, it doesn't mean I'm attached to them. It just means that's what they are. And just to be able to express my sexuality. And you know what? There's family members I don't talk to anymore. They would have a field day. They're probably like seething once they find out I have an OnlyFans. They'd be like, you can't, why would you do that? What are you doing? You're ruining your whole life. It's like, okay, well, what the fuck? It's like thousands and thousands of women who do this. Like millions of people, like millions of people who do this. And you're going to judge me just because I'm related to you? Like, you don't get to control me. You don't get to control my sexuality. And the thing is this didn't actually happen. I just imagined the scenario. But the thing is like, I've known my family long enough. Like, I'm tired of trying to defend myself. I don't need to defend myself. I know who I am. I'm an individual. I'm a human being. I'm a good person. And people who don't think so are wrong. And I will spend the rest of my life trying to be a good person. And trying to not hurt people. Including myself. Because I hurt myself by punishing myself for having thoughts that I don't really have control over sometimes. But thoughts are just thoughts. My actions are my actions, not my thoughts. Thoughts do not dictate actions. It doesn't define me. I am not a monster. I'm not a pervert. I don't need to justify it to anyone. I don't need to prove it to anyone. I'm a human being. Shouldn't I be allowed to be happy, And I am. I am allowed to be happy. Anyway, bye.